Welcome to the 8 Billion Project, where we're on a mission to make an impact by discovering and sharing the purpose of every person on this planet. I'm your host, Liza Florida. Enjoy today's episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 8 Billion Podcast. I am your host, Liza Florida, and today we are broadcasting from the network studios here in Culver City for the opening of Season 5D. Now, before I present my first guest to you, what I'd like to let you guys all know is that this production here was months in the making as the idea of Season 5D had come to fruition. However, this was a 3-year spiritual journey for me, and often, as you guys might know, a lifetime in the making. So, before I present my first guest to you, what I want you guys to know is that the guests of this season are all a reflection of my spiritual journey, as their messages, methodologies, and modalities are here to help you guys find your highest purpose. So, without further ado, I'd like to present my opening guest for Season 5D. He is the founder and CEO of the Awakening Guide, dedicated to helping humanity awaken their life's truest potential. He has helped hundreds of people transform their lives through his books, events, retreats, and seminars. He empowers you to your awakening by showing you the roadmap he used to build and sell a $1 billion a year in sales business, lose over 40 pounds, and create the life of his dreams. The foundations of his teachings are simple. Everything in a person's outer world, finances, health, and relationships, are a reflection of their inner world. He will guide you through healing internal fears and limiting beliefs that you have unknowingly been living with since childhood. He will lead you to reconnect with your life's truest potential, purpose, and power. Everyone, please help me welcome Mr. Danny Morel to the 8 Billion Podcast. Welcome, Danny. It is such a pleasure and an honor to be here in this space with you.
Lisa, I'm glad to be here as well. Let's have a great time.
Danny, I was just telling you this right before we started recording. The reason I came across you was in August. I came across a real estate ad. I was at a crossroads for myself in order to either take my real estate business to the next level or follow a calling that was deep in my heart, which was really a spiritual calling to deliver messages and present people like yourself. Well, obviously, I chose the route was to follow this mission of mine that's deeply embedded in my soul. And I was telling you on certain lives, I would get on there and I would always say, Danny, please answer my question. How do you know when it's time to either leave real estate or career that you're having to follow something that you feel deep within your soul? And it's true. Sometimes those answers don't get answered by people such as you or anywhere around the road because you always know the answers within.
Mhm.
Now, let's start with this. On a global scale, there's what you could see, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, if you see that on a global scale, there's a mass awakening of human souls that are going on, right?
Mhm.
But on the other hand, there's a lot of people around the world that are still in so much pain. What I wanted to know was you left $1 billion a year business and you could have kept going, and that was probably just scratching the surface. Is there more to life than what everyone is experiencing right now?
Well, yeah. So you said there's a huge awakening happening in humanity right now, and the answer is yes to that. And we can see the evidence of that by more and more people talking about plant medicine, more and more people talking about meditation, more and more talking about the truth behind spirituality. For so many years, spirituality was thought of as, religion, as I need to go somewhere on a certain day to hear from somebody to teach me something about God and spirituality. And what I discovered, and I think what many people are discovering, is that is actually the opposite of what true spirituality is. True spirituality is a relationship with yourself. And when you find relationship with yourself, then that's when you truly find and discover a relationship with God. Um, and even that word God, we can get into that a little bit later. But the second thing is, you said, while people are awakening, there's so many people in pain.
Right.
And that's just called our journeys. I once was in pain as well. Heck, I probably was in pain even, 15 minutes ago. And that's just the evolution of life. And that's just the journey that we all are on. I think that for many of us, we look at pain as something that is wrong or bad because our mind, the masculine, wants to make everything either right or wrong, good or bad. And then what I try to challenge people to do is to just simply just be and understand what that pain is trying to teach you, because that's what pain is here for, is to try to teach us. And if we can approach it from that perspective, then there is a gift on the other side of the pain. So ultimately, I don't even know that people are in pain. They're just in a circumstance or a lesson that is trying to teach them something. And either they will learn that lesson or that pain will continue to come back until they grow out of that and no longer attract that circumstance.
Right. And no, thank you for explaining that, because that's very at a base level, because it's very basic at this point. What pain could be. Pain can be so many different things. It can be
Sure.
physical pain, right? It can be emotional pain. And so that is a great base level of what you referenced to. So what ended up happening for myself is, as I continued, so what I ended up doing was continue to follow you and the messages that you had. And in November of last year, I ended up signing for Awaken Your Higher Self. And I did attend it. Yeah, I did
Yeah.
attend it in Denver, and I'm actually part of the tribe. So that's
Yeah.
why it's truly such an honor to be able to have you as my opening guest, because it's something that I'm deeply embedded in right now as I go through this journey with everyone that has either attended it or has actually been part of your work. What I'd like to do is probably have you go back to, maybe, I've watched so many different podcasts and learned so much about you, either through your Instagram and then watching some of your podcasts. Could you give everyone or the audience a basis of like what your upbringing was?
Yeah. My upbringing. So, uh, my mother's name is Cruz. My father's name is Danilo. Um, and my background is Ecuadorian, Colombian, and Dominican. And growing up, I didn't realize this, but I was born to a mom whose mom passed away when she was only 13 years old. And so if you think about that, my mom never got to feel maternal love, right? A mother's, love. And then I was also born to a father whose father disowned him. So my father was basically missing the masculine. My mother was missing the feminine. And so I got all of that energy. And quite frankly, I was a mess.
Yeah.
And but it was beautiful and it was absolutely perfect because I wouldn't be who I am today without that mess. And growing up, we everything was fine until my parents got divorced. And when they got divorced, I was about 13 years old and we moved from New York to California. And that's when, quite frankly, I stopped. My childhood ended at about 12, right when that was happening, because I instantly became the man of the house. And so I was driving us around illegally at 13. I was taking my little brother to school and to Little League baseball. I was literally a dad by the age of 13 years old. Um, and you could look at that as right, wrong, or indifferent. For me, it taught me a lot of responsibility, and then at the same time, it robbed me of my childhood, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And so in my healing journey, I had to go back and understand everything that was happening and understand that, yeah, it was perfect the way it was, but there was a lot of healing that needed to take place as a result.
Right. No, and the reason that I asked you to bring up your childhood, I've listened to your 5 and 10 cent story about asking for lunch money.
Oh
And when
yeah.
I first actually heard that, I cried because I was like, oh, Danny, I'd be one of those people that would give you the 5 and 10 cents every day. Yeah, but
Well,
I'm sorry,
and
go ahead.
I'll bring that up real fast. So when I was in junior high and when we actually moved to California, we were so poor that we were on welfare. And my mom couldn't afford to give me lunch money. So when you're on welfare, what happens is, I don't know, the city, the state, the government, whatever, they give you free lunch and you have to stand in the free lunch line. So there were two lunch lines. There was the free lunch line, and then there was like the lunch line where you buy your food. I looked at it, back then as like the cool kids and the not cool kids, right? The kids who had money and the kids who didn't have money. And I would not stand in that free lunch line. I would not. So the choice became very evident to me. It was either I stood in the free lunch line or I starved, or I came up with a way to get in the lunch line or you needed money for. So I'd like to say to many people, even that was a gift because that's where my sales career really began. I started to ask every single day. I figured I needed to raise $1. And if I asked enough people for 5 cents or 10 cents, I would eventually come up with $1. So I asked everybody, do you have a nickel? Do you have a dime? Do you have a nickel? Do you have a dime? And then, I don't know, people would reject me or whatever, but I would get my dollar and I would go buy my cheeseburger and my soda. And I basically did that for all of junior high, which was a beautiful gift. And that's what I want to try to teach people is that everything that they see as and hold on to as pain or as something that went wrong, if you just flip it on the other side, you will find a gift. The gift for me in that circumstance was that I learned how to communicate. I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to deal with rejection so much so it doesn't bother me in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. No, I've learned so much, and you always have a set of questions in a podcast. But if this is my opportunity to really just be authentic and vulnerable with at least the audience, with you, so then maybe this could help me out. That
Sure.
became really that story, that 5 and 10 cent story that gave me the courage to ask you to be on the podcast because everyone else that I had came to me. I put a call out on this Facebook guest collaboration. I was very clear what 5D meant, that this was my mission. Had 60 applicants. It was great. Like, that's why I'm saying all of these people I interviewed were a reflection. But the one guest that I knew that really could sum it all up and really like charge this season with so much power was you. So that
Hmm.
was what I had to do. I was just like, okay, I'm part of the tribe. I'm going to circulate through here. I'm learning so much. And that's what I'm telling you guys. As much as I share with you guys so much deep spiritual work that I've done, it's an ongoing, an ongoing unraveling of deeper truths.
Yes,
For
sir.
me, though, like relationships became my huge rejection for like so many years, and that's what I'm working through. In fact, I am actually attending Costa Rica, so I am going to Costa Rica for
Oh, good. Okay. Good.
for
Beautiful.
that. And it's just been an unraveling of rejection after, well, I'll call it rejection, so that's what I would say that was the story, but it really became the foundation of me opening up to who I am today. And
Beautiful.
still, even though those are things that I'm like trying to work through, and I'm assuming so many other people out there are going through that, as many relationships are really going through so much right now. I just particularly had a pattern in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I can appreciate that.
But
Yeah.
yes, I just wanted to say thank you so much for the work that you do. I mean, like, you are literally transforming everyone's lives all across the world right now.
Well, and I appreciate that, but and I really truly want your audience to understand this is that I'm no different than anybody.
Right.
And so what happens is that when we heal, right? When we truly heal and we truly awaken to what life is and what our potential is, what starts to happen is we're actually removing is what we're doing,
Yeah.
right? So like for example, in your case, if you're having a tough time in relationships, what's happening is you're just attracting the energy, right? In a man, for example, that is a reflection of the energy that is within,
Right.
right? Because jealousy doesn't attract confidence,
Correct.
right? It doesn't, right? Anger doesn't attract joy. It's opposite, it's polar. And so the first step in all of this is to understand, if I'm attracting, for example, emotionally unavailable people, then what is it within me that needs or that is drawing in that emotional unavailability? There's something in me that is doing it. And that's why the first step for all healing and all growth is accepting personal responsibility,
Absolutely.
because the outer world is just a reflection of or a creation of what's happening in the inner world, right?
Correct.
And so what starts to happen that I don't think really people understand is that this is why the work that we do is so important. When you come to awaken, what you're really coming to is you're not coming for me, you're coming for you,
Right.
and I'm just going to show you based off of the work that I've done how to connect with you, right?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I don't need you to think I'm special. I need you to think and know that you're special. Because when you think and know that you're special, that's when you can start changing the world.
Right.
And because you start changing the world based off of how you feel on the inside, you literally change your world. And as a result of that, you change the world. And then you free other people to be able to do the same thing just because you had the courage to go within and to do what most people don't do. And that is to go within to discover their highest self, to remove the barriers that are surrounding their mind and remove the barriers that are surrounding their heart. It is much easier. Listen to me. I'm going to speak some truth. It is much easier to go somewhere, to hear someone, to read a book, to tell you about spirituality. There's no work there.
Hmm.
There's no work. Someone is telling you, right? True spirituality happens when you go out and you find the truth for yourself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I wanted to share this with you too. So in November, when I signed up for Awaken Your Higher Self, I was going through, for obvious reasons, I had decided to follow this path and this mission, right? One of the big things that I did have was I was earning income from real estate to support this mission. So I had money programs. I was like, how could you ask me to do such a big mission if I don't even have like the funds to do this? So all of a sudden, I was scrolling through and I had seen that you had just completed San Diego. I think the Awaken Your Higher Self in San Diego, you're opening it up to Denver. And I
Yeah.
have a connection with my spirit guide. So they were like, go to that. And I was like, oh, perfect. Danny's going to have the answers. Danny's going to. So this whole 3-month buildup was like, okay, I'm going to figure out how he's going to have some really great answers. Well, I was sitting in Awaken, right? And I was in one of the meditation sessions and I was I was breathing deeply, excuse me. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm just going to hold space for the collective because nothing was coming up. And then all of a sudden, I started bawling like 10 minutes into it because you know what my guides told me? They're like, Lisa, you thought you came here to work on money programs, but we brought you here to work on relationships. And it made sense exactly what you were saying. They're all tied to each other. And I was like, you tricked me. You guys tricked me for bringing me here. But that was absolutely it. Everything just like all came together at Awaken. That's why I was just so adamant about having you and bringing you in as the first guest because this could be a resource or rather just like a journey for someone to probably tap into. And since we're going live on yours, I mean, if anything, you do have like Discover that's coming up. I know this by the time this broadcast, which is May 4th, it's
Well, yeah. So Discover will be something that it'll be on April 4th, but it'll be recorded. And if
that's what I was going
any
to
of
ask you.
your guests want to just go to dannymorel.com/discover, they could watch it. We're going to be playing it all the time. And what we do at Discover is we do like a little mini awaken. I'll do a teaching,
Yeah.
right, to help understand what they're going to experience. And then, we will do a powerful combination of meditation and breath work that I came up with. To be perfectly honest with you, and you don't know this, but even at Awaken, I don't plan any of it. I don't, it's just, I just led. It's just led. So
Right.
there's no rehearsing. I feel inauthentic if I were to do that. And so even at that event, Discover, my team always asks me, like, do you have notes? Do you have notes? And I go, no, the notes will show up on the day of the event. It'll all happen. And so I feel that the more authentic we are in the healing process, uh, I think too many people are just used to, especially in spirituality, things being choreographed and rehearsed and
Yes.
planned. I don't want to be that or do that or be involved with that. I want real. I want from here to here to here to here. And that's what
No,
I want.
that's absolutely great. I mean, most of my podcasts, other than this one, because I was like, okay, this is my opening guest. I typically just like I wing it. But for you to put on a whole production, that's just like, that's what I wanted to ask you though, Danny. Since you said I could ask you anything. You
You can
know,
ask me whatever you
in
want.
in most cases, when you went down like your spiritual journey, were a lot of those gifts like what you have right now being able to stream through this, is that more of something that you have as a spiritual gift because of your connection to your higher self and your guides, or is that because or has that always been something that has been within you since you were young?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the ability to communicate
Uh-huh.
has always been with me since I was young. Now, I want to preface that by saying, your ego might be listening to that and going, oh, well, there it is, because the ego always wants to keep you safe and keep you from growing.
Correct.
And so what happens is, like, we see people that have, like, let's say a gift or whatever the case may be. And then you go like, dang it, how come I don't have that one? And that causes separation. All of us can communicate, and all of us can communicate in our own beautiful and powerful way. There might be some healing that needs to take place with our
Throat
throat
chakra.
chakras, right? But all of us can communicate. And then if not, all of us have a gift. And what I have discovered, um, we've now led hundreds of people through ceremony and through seminars and retreat, so forth and so on, is that even at awaken, just at awaken, people start unlocking their spiritual gifts right then and there. Some people can see things, some people can receive messages, whatever the case may be. I am now starting to, my psychic ability is starting to become um, really, really present. Yeah, really, really present. And I never expected that. It's just the cleaner your vessel is,
Right.
right? The clearer the message becomes and the more that you can share it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I just wanted to let the audience know this is, I mean, Danny covers it all in between Awaken and then into the tribe. But Awaken would really be the first point. If anything, discover, right? They can,
Sure.
yeah, they can, that's going to be an hour and a half of a mini Awaken. And then from there, he has Awaken in June that happens. But Danny covers everything from, like, it's all connected. It truly is healing from the source, even down to like health.
And I'm going to tell you something. I struggled with this. I struggled with this because even before I started my journey, like, I always wanted it all.
Yeah.
I wanted to be very successful in the financial world. Back then, it was from ego. It was because I wanted a nice car, have a nice suit, have a great watch, and I wanted people to respect, appreciate, and love me for my outer world, because that's what the world teaches you. The world teaches you that in order for you to be loved, admired, and respected, you need, stuff, right? Well, when you heal, you start to realize that the real reason you want money is to be free, is
Absolutely.
so that you could travel on your own terms, is so that you can help other people, is that, you know the way I like to say it is spiritual, true abundance, financial abundance doesn't mean that more comes to you. It means that more comes through you. It means that you receive and then you're able to bless other people from the blessings that you received. So I always wanted to be, financially abundant, but then I always wanted to be physically abundant.
Mhm.
I always wanted to be in great shape. I wanted to be flexible and energetic. And honest to God, I feel like I'm 19 right now. I really do.
Right. I know you
That
talk about that a
took
lot.
that took work as well,
Yeah.
right? That took unraveling as well. That took me dealing with my emotions, and in many ways me dealing with my connection with food and how I used food to mask some of my inner pain, right?
Mhm.
I want to be with the woman of my dreams, and I will not settle for less. I want to feast at the banquet of the divine. Like, that's
Right.
what I want. And that's why, I could go out and, like, be with all kinds of people, but I keep my energy nice and clean, and it'll draw in and attract in what it needs to. I want to be a wonderful father, and then at the same time, to me, it's important, because true love and abundance means that you don't carry any negative energy. So that's why my relationship with Claudia, which is my ex-wife, is so good as well. Like, she's literally not only like my sister, like, I love her more now than ever before. And people don't understand that, because for people, we're so conditioned to live in this box, right? And if it doesn't fit in this box that you're conditioned to live in, then how is it even happening? Love has no box, it has no barriers. Love simply is.
That's exactly it. I even came, there's so much energy swirling right now. Like I was saying, I'm torn in this podcast between talking on a deeper spiritual level or just being at the base level. But I do believe
Oh,
that, yeah. So
which one?
what's happening right now is a huge shift in energy fields. And this is my perspective and my experience of it. And there's this unlayering and shedding of so many things that and programs that don't serve us. Most especially, I feel like those people that are just going on that spiritual journey,
Mhm.
and everything becomes uh you know like I said, it just kind of depends, like what you were saying. All of a sudden you have like more psychic gifts, and it just comes from the unraveling of all the work that you do, and comes probably through divine timing, One of the
Mm.
things that I woke up to just this last weekend too was, and you keep saying it, and I've always known it, and then many people say it, it's all about your being. It is
Mhm.
moment after moment. I just realized in my whole life, probably in the first 40 years of my life, I was never present. I was always out there trying to figure it out. Why was I the victim of this and why was I victim of that? Now, as I've gone down this deep spiritual journey within, I understood it. Like this weekend, I just opened up and I was like, I'm present. I'm love. I'm everywhere. And moment after moment, it doesn't matter what you do. You could be going to a gas station. If you are just being love, that is really what matters the most in everything. It's these connections that you'll have with everyone. And they'll just become more deeper and enriched. And the universe will give you things and opportunities and moments to just be that. And that's where you are. And then I believe that's what you're saying, truly, that's where everything just starts to unlock. Because when you just understand that you are everything, everything starts to
You want me to get deep on you here?
yeah, please. I'm all like, oh my God, I'm
You're
scared.
coming to Costa Rica to journey with the medicine,
I
right?
am, I am.
When you do that, remember what I told you. When you do that, the word believe
Mhm.
will be replaced with the word no.
Yeah,
Because you see, the word believe is you seeing something that potentially could not be there. There's a lot of people believe in a lot of things that are quite frankly false and harmful to them. They don't know that, it just happens to be the paradigm that they live in, right? True courage means that you no longer want to believe, you want to know.
yeah.
You want to know, right?
Hmm.
And so, like, when I would go to church, I was told to believe. Believing is safe. Believing is, I'm here in my little box with my own little emotions. Listen, if you want to get real, on the outside, I had it all. I had all of the money. I had, a wonderful family. I had everything. And yet deep inside, I was miserable. But I was safe because I was just told to believe. Believe is external,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So the one thing that believe doesn't cause you to do, believe doesn't cause you to uncover. Believe doesn't cause you to unravel. Believe doesn't cause you to discover. Believe doesn't cause you to ask the tough questions that you maybe are afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Because behind those tough questions comes a truth that you may not be ready to accept.
Hmm.
And so when you're able to finally ask those questions, the whole ballgame just changes, just like that. Believe is no longer a part of your paradigm. You know, because you went through the fire,
Hmm.
right? You faced your fear and you discovered it for yourself. And the greatest thing that you can ever discover is who and what you really are and who and what we really are. You can't discover that by believing. You got to go figure it out on your own.
Yeah. No, it's so interesting that you say that because I felt an energetic like tinge when I said believe and you caught it.
Of course I did.
Because I know even like coming here, I was like, Lisa, you've gone through this whole journey. You are everything. Like moment. It's so weird how I caught that too, and then you brought it up because
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'll give you another example. So, like when I started, again, I'm not special. This is available to everybody, to everybody. But when I started you just got to be willing to put in the work and unravel, right?
Yes.
And so a friend of mine, he's in our program. We helped him like literally quadruple his income. He's healthy, this is the whole thing. Um, and I was in Houston and he took me to his house. He was excited. He was like, it was like his first big purchase, right? He's
Yeah.
an immigrant from Venezuela who came here and literally didn't even know how to speak the language. And now we have him making a couple $100,000 a year. He'll be a millionaire here very soon. Anyhow, as I was walking through the house, it's being constructed, right? I'm
Yeah.
walking through the house and I just got this feeling. It was like, huh, why did I get this feeling that I could already see them in another house?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is great, but I already see something different.
Yeah.
And whatever, I didn't say anything. I actually shed a tear. I was just so happy for them. I was just so happy to see them as a family fulfilling their dreams. This was like 3 months ago. Last week, they were here hanging out with me, and I was like, hey, what's going on with the house? Are you guys ready to move in? He's like, oh, I've been meaning to tell you. It's like, what that? He said, something wasn't settling right with me. It was like as if, like, I liked the house, but it wasn't what I really wanted. And like, it was like I sensed and I felt that energy. And when I told him, it was like a confirmation for him. So they actually had decided to cancel that deal. But you and that's who we wow. I mean, I could say so much, but
Do you want it? You could say so much. You go on and say it.
let's just, we've all just but for so long been told, what our limits are. And we're told what our limits are because we're controllable in that way. And those limits are normally capped off by this energy of fear. And you don't ever want to go past that limit because, whoa, what could happen? And you're afraid of that, right? And then there just comes a point in your life where you just go, you know what, screw this. I can't live like this anymore. I want to find out for myself, right?
Right.
And I know you're telling me to be afraid, but I'll never discover it if I don't go figure it out by myself. And when you do that, I'm just get ready for your world to be rocked. For your world to be rocked to the point. I mean, I can remember coming home and having like, borderline panic attacks because everything that I thought was true, it was like all of a sudden you start to realize not only is it not true, you no longer want it or desire it. So then you start asking yourself questions like, well, wait a minute, what do I really want and desire? And what am I
Yeah.
here for? That's how deep it gets.
Well,
So I,
it's really interesting that you say that because I feel like that has become my life in the last 6 weeks, ever since I returned back from Awaken in Denver. It's
yeah,
all
awaken will do that. I mean,
Awaken triggers it all.
will awaken you. That's for sure.
And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden there's this fear of like just people entering in your life. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And there's fear that comes up. And my guides are just like, just surrender, just surrender. I'm like constantly surrendering because all the fear, even whether it's conscious or unconscious, is all pulling up to the surface to be released.
To be
And
released. That's what happens. That's
yeah,
what happens. You have to deal with it and face it so that it can go away.
yeah. And so now, even when like little things that would probably bother me, and you talk about this, little things that would bother you before, it's just like, all right, don't worry, like traffic, no problem. I'm supposed to get there at the divine moment. It's supposed to be. That's why I told you if you were asking about your hair, I was like, don't worry, it's supposed to be exactly the way it's supposed to be. We just have to keep surrendering to that fear, and that whole world opens up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been an absolute beautiful journey to actually be, follow you on Instagram, to attend Awaken at Denver, and I know that you actually have one coming up in
June.
June, in Austin, in your hometown,
Yeah.
in your
Yeah.
hometown.
Tickets for that one aren't on sale yet. They're going to go on sale on Monday, the 4th. We first want to take people to discover, help them to feel through it, help them to really understand what it is, the work that we do. And I feel like once they feel that and experience that, if they're ready for it, then we'll invite them to awaken.
Got it. Now, Danny, there's so many things that I wanted to cover. Um, but of course we've got so much time. In Inside Tribe, you open with me talking about Inside Tribe, or is that going to eventually be something that you guys are opening up to the general public, or does that not?
Yeah, Tribe is our guidance platform, right? It's one thing to go to an event, but then how do you carry on that work throughout the course of the year? And so we opened up Tribe for people to register, and 130 joined at the last Awaken. We won't be opening that up yet until just before the next Awaken. So if people want information on that, they can just go to dannymorel.com/tribe.
Got it. And that's what I was going to say. Everything always leads to something, because as I left, Awaken, and I was just like, okay, I'm going on this full mission. I'm diving in. It's so perfect because inside the container talks about everything that you could ever want. And you basically, you're almost mimicking what you've taught everyone in real estate. So anyone out there that's listening in the audience, Danny, if they're still in real estate and you want an amazing coach, Danny, you're still coaching in real estate. Obviously, you have leverage, right?
We're opening it up because real estate or insurance or mortgage or
Mhm.
hairdressing or a restaurant, it's just the vehicle. So we are in the process of opening it up. And that's what the tribe does. It opens it up. If you want to become successful in business, health, life, relationships, join the tribe.
Yeah. And that's what I want to tell you is perfect, because as we're going through all of our stuff, you're on the 10-year vision. So maybe this is what I want to, close out with. What is your 10-year vision, as you've already, you talked about it yesterday, but I want to share it
In
with
your
our.
vision?
Yeah, what's your 10-year vision?
Oh, well, first off, we have at our events 20 to 30,000 people flying in from all over the world, ready to heal. I see people loving and hugging each other. I see us creating people that are financially free, that are millionaires, that are conscious millionaires, because they have healed the energy and the negative association that they have with money. And I see them contributing back with that money to society, to help other people who may not have money. I see them helping animals. I see them helping to preserve Mother Earth. I see them healthy. I see people, and this is already happening, people dropping 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 pounds, getting off medications, eliminating disease, eliminating illnesses that the doctors told them was impossible to eliminate. We're already doing this. Um, I see a healing center. I see one in Europe and I see one in Latin America where people can safely go, let their guard down, experience Mother Nature, experience plant medicine and truly heal their heart and souls. And I see people, 50 to 60 people per week flying in from all over the planet to our healing centers, where they'll get to experience what it feels like, not only to heal internally, but physically by eating organic food, vegan food. Um, I see us showing people how to exercise. See us showing people how to get in their not only their best shape physically, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and with their relationships as well. I see people attracting their soulmates and no longer attracting their mind mates, because they've healed all the mental barriers that they've had and the barriers around their heart. And when you can do that, then you attract your soulmate. Your heart just attracts whoever um, you came in this lifetime to meet with and be with and grow with. Um, and I see us being the place where human beings come to when they're finally ready to discover themselves.
Well, that's beautiful, Danny, because you actually already are doing all of that inside the
Already
tribe.
here.
It's already here.
Yeah, already
It's
here.
here, it's now.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being my opening guest for season 5D. Danny, if there is, I know we talked about that, right? How can people find you if they would like to learn
Yeah.
more about your work?
Danny Morel, DANNYMOREL on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or just DannyMorel.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Danny, so much for being a part of, or actually the opening guest for season 5D. You will always have a platform here and a voice and like I said, I will be there. I will be one of your troops and warriors that will always be there to support. It's actually an honor and pleasure to be a part of the beginning of the tribe. And I can't wait to see what life has to offer from here on out.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to season 5D opening episode with Danny Morel. Like I said, this season and this work is a reflection of all the healing that has taken place in my life. And as I was saying, all the guests, the different messages, the methodologies, and the modalities that are here are offered for your highest growth. So thank you for tuning into this week's episode, and we'll catch you next week on 8 billion. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the 8 Billion Podcast. If it's moved you in any way, please share your thoughts or give us a review on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. To listen to more episodes, go to 8billionpodcast.com, or to learn more about our mission, go to 8billionproject.com.